Okay. Um, Herbs, as we. I'm supposed to look in the camera? Herbs, as we understand them, we think of very vibrant flavors and deep flavors that they add to our food that we eat. Herbs are usually made only from the leafy green part of a plant. So for example, we have basil and mint, different kinds of mint like peppermint, spearmint, lemongrass. So all these, there are different various kinds of herbs. So when we think of herbs in an Indian situation or a Delhi situation, typically the native herbs over here are what we call as the summer herbs, okay, which is the basil, the lemongrass, mint, Adjoin leaves, and brahmi. Most of the herbs that we think or hear in the media or in various cooking shows, like the sage, thyme, rosemary, marjoram, these are not necessarily native to India, although they can be grown here, but they are mostly native to a temperate Mediterranean climate. When we are growing winter herbs, and so for an Indian condition, first of all we will plant them right around at the end of summer, or rather at the end of monsoon, so which is around the time of August, September, when we plant them. What happens is that these herbs have a hard time when the summer comes. So what you can do is you can protect these herbs by sort of keeping them slightly indoors, but where there is some sunlight falling over there. For example, a balcony or a windowsill. The other way to do it is you can preserve these herbs. Okay, so during your growing season, there will be a surplus of it. You will have more of it than you probably need. So there are various ways you can preserve these herbs. For example, you can dry. The simplest process is you can just dry them in a shade, and once it's dry enough, you can put them in airtight bottles, glass bottles, and keep them in a refrigerator. Or what you can also do is you can sort of dip. Once you have dried them, you can dip them in oils like an olive oil or any other local oil, and you can store them in oils for a long time and use them wherever you use oil, like in a pasta or a salad dressing. You can use that oil and the flavor will be infused in the oil. Another similar way is to use vinaigrette. So the summer plants will be planted at the sort of end of winter season, which is right around say February, March for a Delhi climate. The main season of course is the summer, the ones that are local to India, but then they have a hard time in the winter and also in the monsoon. So you can also extend their life by giving them an indoor climate during those periods when it's too cool for them, and also protecting them from rain. From a soil standpoint, herbs usually prefer a very well drained soil. So if you have typically grown in pots at home, then you would notice that your soil gets very hard and compact. So what helps is if you add a few components like coco peat and vermiculite and lots of compost to your soil, then what it does is it makes the soil more porous and more breathable. It's probably better to grow your herbs in a portable container like a pot or a basket or a bamboo basket or some sort of a terracotta pot, and have them on the terrace in their conducive season, and then when it's an off season you can bring them to your balcony to give them that protection from the extreme heat or extreme water. We typically think of them as giving good flavor to our food. But if you implement them well in your garden and design them well, they can also give a lot of aesthetic value. Herbs are also an ingrained part of growing your own kitchen garden. Like if you're growing your own veggies and greens, since herbs have such distinctive aroma and flavors, they also deter a lot of pests in the garden. They confuse the pests. So 5 most easiest herbs to grow in Delhi. My favorites would be mint, which we use very commonly in our diets. In the winters you can grow cilantro. And basil, of course, you can. In basil, luckily we have many kinds of basil. You can do the Italian basil, our local Indian holy basil, also the Indian sweet basil, which is called as marwa in Hindi. It's a very commonly grown plant, and it's one of the best plants. It's very similar to the Thai basil. And there's also one that's called camphor basil. It has a very nice flavor similar to camphor, kapoor. I also prefer, I like marjoram a lot. It has a very nice fragrance. And one of my most favorites is Adjoin Leaves. It's called Adjoin Leaves, but the technical name is Indian borage. It's a thick-leafed succulent, and the flavor is just like Adjoin. And it can survive through winter and summer. It grows very vigorously. Doesn't need too much water. If you give more water also, it's very hardy basically, and it has many uses. You can make herbal teas out of it. You can make pakoras out of it. So it's a very versatile plant in that sense.